Hello, my name is Michele Risa and I'm president of the Manhattan Holistic Chamber of Commerce. Thank you so much for joining us. I'd like to first tell some people who may not know what it means to be part of the Holistic Chamber of Commerce. So I'll start by saying the Chamber of Commerce, which maybe you've heard of, is in fact a chamber that advocates and helps businesses grow. The Holistic Chamber does the same. However, the focus we have, which is unique to our chamber, is very much committed to the growth and thriving of businesses that offer a holistic approach to life or a holistic lifestyle. And maybe I should explain that as well. What is a holistic lifestyle? Well, it's whole, meaning every single part of your life. The food that you eat, the exercise that you do, the home that you live in. Not only how it's arranged, but also maybe how it's built. Meaning, well, if it's built with solar energy, yes. So how, or the windows to your home. It could also be what career you are in, yes. Your family and your relationships in both. The clothes that you wear. The veterinarian that you visit for your pets. Anything that you can think of that you do throughout any day is part of your life, and we can approach them each in a holistic fashion. I like to think that I practice being holistic as I live. So that might include also what transportation I take, my driving a car or taking a train or bus. It may also include the water that I drink, the air that I'm breathing, the recycling I might do with my garbage. So I'm always looking at every aspect of my life to see how it supports me in a very whole way. So what does that mean? Let me think about answering that as well. I have certain values, right? And the way that I express them, I feel, is how I treat me, how I treat every person, how I treat animals, how I treat this planet, and what imprint I make or not. So we find that or at least I'll say when I really ask myself that bigger whole question, more of my life becomes more in sync and balanced and flowing. And when things are not as they should be, I know I just need to look at any of the areas of my life to identify what might be out of balance or where I might be making choices that aren't really best for me. So I hope that makes sense. And what I'm going to do at this juncture actually is hear what other people, we might just talk about that, what holistic means to this wonderful panel that we have. So let me introduce you to everyone. We have Deneen Vigiano, and she is a wellness expert. Next to her, Susan Greif, and she is a creative healer. And finally next to her is Candy Kittich, and she is an NES therapist. Okay, so welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. So I know this is a little different than what we talked about, but would you mind jumping in and telling us what you feel a holistic approach to life is? What is it for you?
Well,
Candy?
Maybe I'll start. It's definitely creating balance between an emotional psychological, physical balance, looking at life in this balanced, healthy, green life that we need to create to better and participating in it fully.
So I'll be a devil's advocate. Why do I want things to be balanced?
Because it creates the happiness, and will create your life clearer path to your life purpose. Therefore, everything improves in life. Everything, your health improves, your relationships improve, family life improves, social life improves. Therefore, planet improves, and it goes beyond that. So that I would welcome anyone to participate in.
Okay, thank you. Anything you'd like to add, Susan? Do you?
I can add something. When I work with clients in the health and nutrition coaching practice that I do, we have an exercise called a health wheel. And so why would you want to be in balance holistically if you look at different aspects of your life, like your hydration or your sleep or your relationships or your mental state, your diet, your exercise, and if you were to chart those on a round graph, you would see if your life is rolling along well and it's in balance, that graph would be fairly symmetrical circumferentially. But if one or two aspects of your holistic lifestyle is off or not being tended to, then you wouldn't get very far rolling along on that wheel.
Right, and I've done this exercise. I'm trying to see if there's a way. I wish we had a graph to explain. I do it as a pie chart.
Yeah,
yes?
exactly.
Okay, so if everyone can imagine a pie chart that has slices, like a pizza slices, yes? And how close to the hub and or how far out is how engaged you are in that part of your life.
Right.
So what I hear you say, Deneen, is if I'm really attending to all of them, all the lines, let's just say will be at, I'm just picking a number, 60% or 70%.
Right.
So that wheel is able to roll. But, and I've been guilty here, if I'm putting a great deal of my energy into my career, right, and less into my family life, which I also think some of us have done, you know, that is an imbalance. And though we feel that's fine, I'm managing, okay, I need to put all this energy into my business. Ultimately, you know, as we continue with that imbalance, everything else is out of whack.
Or even if you're exercising a lot, but then you're not sleeping, then the whole holistic lifestyle wheel isn't going to go roll well.
Or maybe as people go on a diet, right? But are not eating healthily, but going to the gym.
Right, same thing.
Same thing.
Exactly.
Right? Anything anybody else would like to add?
My visualization is considering a seesaw, and when it's centered and and the fulcrum is right in the center and everything is in balance, there is a lightness to it. But if you're dragging this balance beam and one side is low, you're dragging it, becomes a burden and will give you pain. So it's important to keep things in balance and harmonious in lifestyle, in your food, your mind, your body. Like Candy said, with relationships, with the environment, with yourself, most important.
And our bodies literally require it. You know, health literally is defined by it being in balance. You know, too much inflammation, too much sugar, too much salt, you know, anything. I mean, even if I just ate broccoli all day long, that would be an imbalance. As it's healthy, and I happen to love broccoli, right? But that would be an imbalance. So yes, we already have everything around us. Our planet, right? We have sun, we have rain. You know, if we only had one or the other, we know again at being out of balance, our planet would not.
Life is duality. You know, you have your ups, your downs, your night, your days, and you have to complete the cycle.
Or said otherwise, we're looking for ease in all aspects of our life, and when something is out of balance, we have dis-ease or diseases.
Yeah. Yes, wonderful wake-up calls. So speaking of disease, thank you for that segue. Let's talk about a holistic approach to health versus the current system, which is really referred to as the allopathic approach. approach to health, and let me explain. So when we frequently go to doctors, we're going to a specialist in most cases. There are now more general practitioners, GPs, but for a while it was really hard to find someone who was a generalist because our country had moved into such a specialization. Yeah? And so with that specialization, we also find that doctors are very short on time, and you come in and they ask you, what's wrong? Why are you here? And so let's just say I have a headache. And often what will happen in the allopathic world is we'll look for a very quick way of eliminating that discomfort, that disease. So I might get a drug that would take my headache away. Yes? Or if it were a stomach ache, you go to it. In fact, another example, it could be, maybe I have one of my organs is not quite right, and if medication did not address it, the suggestion might be surgery, yes, to remove it. So that's more of the traditional allopathic, which really differs considerably from our approach, which is not symptom-based, yes, but rather source-based. Where is the problem coming from? So as I work with my patients, and if they came in, for instance, with a headache, I would not be looking to only help them reduce that discomfort or pain, but be talking to them about every aspect of their life in terms of, might there be stress at home? Might there be stress at work, with their children, with what they're eating, just every aspect of their life to identify their commute. That might need to be changed. It could be one of many things. And so I find in the holistic approach, inquiry is what we do best, right? We're constantly asking for more information so we can really understand not just how to address the symptom, but really go to the source. Would you all agree that that is a clear distinction between
Yes.
right, the holistic approach and the allopathic? So if you don't mind, I'll ask any of you, if you had a client, you can pick headache or another, how have you addressed that condition as they've come to you? And I'll start with you, Susan, if you don't mind.
Sure. Actually, I did have a client that came in with headaches. I actually use an artistic approach or creative approach, whether it's through drawing or movement or writing, to bring the subconscious to conscious faster, so you can start the healing process quicker. So this woman that I had spoken to, she had grown up in a home where her mother, for her reasons, did not allow her child to ask questions. So even when she would go for a yoga class, when the instructor would say, does anybody want a bolster, she'd be afraid to raise her hand and say, yes, I would like one. So we decided to go through a drawing, and she created a drawing of the first time she remembers having a migraine headache. And in this drawing, she's a child in bed, and she draws her pillow around her head. But instead of behind her head, it was actually in front, as if though she was being choked, or there's a disconnect. And from that point, we did a body scanning, and where she was blocked again was her throat. So we did a body dialogue, and she came to realize that she is afraid to speak, and she's afraid to ask people because she was afraid of how they would respond. And I actually had her journal and ask everybody, one person a day, a question, ask for a favor, and to keep note on their response to see that it wasn't similar to her mother's response. And in time, her headache was actually relieved because she learned to use her voice.
Wonderful story.
Yeah,
Thank
she's
you.
wonderful. So, and her migraines are gone. So that's great.
Right.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Anything, Denise?
Yeah, I love the story because it just tells so much about how body reacts, or actually how a lot of these symptoms come from like emotional and psychological prints through our life. This emotional shock syndrome is one of the biggest causes of deterioration of the cells. So we spoke a lot. I think you have mentioned in our meetings, how important it is that what science have already proven, and you had a really nice introduction when we meet. So it just tells how these conditions most likely can be repaired when emotional and psychological matters are cleared. And I have lots of experience with that because I work with chronic clients with chronic conditions, pre-surgery and post-surgery, pain management and fatigues. And with our therapy as well, it's nice to see how that ties in, these shocks in the body, emotional belief systems that affect the body tremendously through the growing up and the environment. So yes, talking about holistic life.
Thank you. I just before I come to hear what you'd like to share, beliefs are just so critical to what we manifest. Thank you, in life, right?
Yeah.
Because as long as we believe it, whether we're right or whether we're wrong, I'm sorry, it's Ford. I believe it's Ford who said, if you say it's so, whether it's right.
If you can, you can. If you can't, you can't. If you will, you will. If you won't, you won't.
Right. It was something. And I'm sorry for messing up his quote. And anyone can email me, and I'll give you my email later in the show. It's really, if you believe it, whether yes or no, you will make that so. So if I believe I can't do something, I clearly won't. And if I believe I can, I very much will. And I know we sometimes say, I'm really going to do that, but it's really a talk as opposed to a real deep belief that I know it. And that's the difference, because I think people get confused between that not bravado, but okay, I'm going to go do that, or deep within your heart you just know that no matter what it takes. And I'll actually go to Kobe Bryant, a basketball player. When he wanted to be an expert three-pointer, that means throwing the ball so it gets 3 points, he practiced 1,300 shoots a day so that he had it. And it was, so I'm adding this component because it's not only, okay, I'm going to be a star. Yes, we need to hold that intention and belief.
Right, and practice it.
And at the same time, put it into action.
It's the muscle memory, sensory memory that we hold within.
Right, right. So just wanted to add that. Is there something, would you like to
so
share?
I have some clients frequently that come to me with headaches, and generally what I'll do is I'll ask them about their lifestyle, which will include what do you eat, what do you drink, how much do you sleep, what kind of stress do you have, and then I would look for foods to remove and foods to add that might help a headache. Adding hydration into the diet, certain herbs such as feverfew or willow bark. Essential oils, lavender or peppermint would also help dilate the blood vessels and improve oxygenation to the brain. And then I also use some self-massage techniques. So there's reflexology points on the forehead, and then releasing some muscle trigger points on the suboccipitals in the neck.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. I would like to, since we're talking about things people can do you mind if we just offer some things that people could do to help their brain, that they can actually do right there?
Sure.
Okay. So, speaking of neuroscience, they're now telling us that the brain functions best when we give it little kind of refresh button pushes. We just refresh the brain for short periods of time, and 60 seconds is what they're saying is really wonderful to stay at peak performance, as well as help us really refresh. So I'll say refresh and peak performance. There's so much more to that. Be more accessible to our intuition, be more creative, solve problems better, be better communicators. So I think sometimes people feel just calming is the only objective, and I just wanted to add that doing this is very, very broad and offers so many benefits. So we'll just give it a try. So see what we can do. We might be out of the camera, but it's all right. You're going to stretch your arms up overhead, all right? And you're just going to pull on your wrist one at a time. I'll do it straight out in front in case my hands are off, but you're ideally doing this overhead. Are we, I can ask, are we out of the camera, our hands? Yeah? Okay. So you want to pull on each wrist, and I want you to start yawning. Yawning brings oxygen to your brain. I find this to be a wonderful pickup, and I know once you start, yeah, and if you can't raise your arms up overhead, you can certainly do it out in front. And now I'm going to ask you to just stroke each arm, right? Get those wonderful chemicals moving. Feels good to me. And we're doing this for just about 60 seconds. Again, following neuroscience's lead, they tell us they can look at our brain, and when we do such simple things, the difference between the different sections of our brain that are firing are improved. How does that feel?
Very good.
Very good.
Right?
Actually, there's a study done for students now that they want students every half hour to get up and do a quick burst of an energy exercise to help the students longer the days of sitting at your desk twiddling your thumbs. So
Right.
it's important to do that.
I mean, certainly within the business environment, instead of having your, say, garbage pail next to you, put it across the room so that you at least have to get up, because many of us are sitting a great deal throughout our day and not stretching. Another tip in the business environment is when you're making a phone call, again, stand up and walk to the other side, of your office to, again, enhance blood flow. And certainly, why not stop for a water break? Hydration is, as we know, so important. And I always say, if you can't even do this in your environment, and that's quite all right, visiting the bathroom is perfectly fine. In that privacy, you can certainly, for 60 seconds, find a space that would not be disruptive to anyone. Great. All right. So I think we're ready to talk about the three-prong approach. This is what the Manhattan Holistic Chamber of Commerce is committed to. We are holistic, and so we believe we all need to heal personally, to grow professionally, and build community. Right? So heal professionally is what we've just done as an example. And we offer different techniques within each of our meetings, as all of you have experienced. Grow professionally. We're always offering tips, again, that you can use to grow your business, to help some people who may be watching who are in the holistic business. Ideas may be for you to start tracking outcomes. Yeah. We all know that what we do has phenomenal results, phenomenal outcomes. And some people out there truly do not know that. And I think it's up to us to start tracking and getting the word out about what type of results we're having, and we're sharing some of that here. Right? The other tip would be also for any holistic practitioner. Many of us do hourly fees. We meet with people for an hour, hour and a half, and it's based on sometimes the time that we're spending. And a great way to expand business is to develop what we call passive income, and an example of that is video, right? So you can create something that can help your clients while you literally are not investing that time, and share it with obviously many people. So you're not, again, redoing that task again and again, but using video once, you're then allowing many people to reach many people with the same effort, right? I want to speak about building community, and community is how I envision, right, the future of healthcare. Without us all coming together and offering our respective experiences and approaches to health, I feel we really offer less to each of our clients. Right? I can't offer all of what you do. You have those areas of expertise. I have mine, and we really can offer much more as we are able to tell our clients what other options may be perfect for what it is that they need. Yes? So part of our commitment is to literally grow community practices where and have thousands of those community practices all over the city and all over the country, so that again, people can easily begin to approach their health holistically and work with people who have the experience and provide quality results. Yes? So I will just throw it open to you. Anything you'd like to add to our how you feel about our three-prong approach?
I have some clients who have been referred to me or who have come to me for help, often for back pain or movement issues or nutrition issues. And part of what I like to tell them is, if I can't help you, I know somebody who can. I have the network of people to refer you out to, because oftentimes people that only go to see their Western medical doctor, they know about chiropractic, or maybe they know about acupuncture, but they might not know about all of the wickedly cool things that we all practice, like NES therapy and creative healing. And everybody at the Manhattan Chamber of Commerce has a really unique, many of the members have many unique skill sets.
Yes.
And so part of the advantage for me of being in the community is expanding my healing network so that I can refer my clients out to other people that are going to help them, because all I want is for people to be empowered to help themselves.
Right. And we are including functional doctors or integrative medical doctors so that they too will be part of ours, because we're finding in the year 2015 they need us as much as we need them. Yes, we want them on board and they'll be part of our community or not. I think we're actually, believe it or not, at the end, towards the end of our show. I want to thank you all so much for having this wonderful conversation and sharing this valuable information with our audience.
If you're ready to create a financially sustainable and rewarding practice while increasing satisfaction for both you and your clients, come to our next meeting and experience it firsthand. For details, go to holisticchamberofcommerce.com/ManhattanMT.